Right now, dozens of people are said to have been killed when a market and shopping district in the Russian-occupied city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine was hit by shelling. Proxy officials there blamed Ukraine, saying at least 25 people died and at least 20 others were injured in the attack. Graphic video from the scene shows many dead bodies in the street, as well as shattered shop fronts and stalls and damaged cars. Russia's foreign ministry called it a barbaric terrorist act, accusing the West of complicity. The Ukrainian government has not yet commented. Meanwhile, official sources in Kyiv have confirmed to the BBC that the explosion at an oil terminal outside St. Petersburg was a special operation of the Ukrainian security service. They said the SBU used drones to start a major fire at the Baltic terminal in Ust-Luga, west of Russia's second city. The Ukrainians say that fuel processed at the plant was being used to supply Russian troops in Ukraine, and that this strike significantly complicates logistics for the military. They also described the attack as an economic blow to Russia, which exports fuel from the terminal. Well, let's bring in Danny Eberhardt now, the BBC World Service Europe editor. Thanks very much for coming in, Danny. Just can you talk us through this attack in Donetsk and what we know about it?
Well, the attack, Lucy, was on Sunday morning today, so it's some extremely distressing scenes filed by the Reuters news agency of dead bodies, people crying as they embrace the victims. We know that amongst the injured, according to the Russian authorities, two were children. They are apparently said to be in a moderate condition. There was no children amongst those who died. But, you know, there's some testimony from people who had to recover body parts from people who were working at the market. Very, very disturbing. If those numbers are confirmed, this would make it the worst attack on a civilian area in a Russian-occupied part of Ukraine since the conflict began. There have been other very serious strikes, but one of them, for example, in Makiyivka, hit a military target in Russia, and then there was another strike that killed lots of Ukrainian prisoners of war in Olenivka. But in terms of civilian deaths, this is the worst, certainly, since the start of the war.
And the Russian proxy officials, as I was just saying, are blaming Ukraine, but Ukraine hasn't confirmed that.
Yeah, Ukraine doesn't usually confirm these sort of things, but we will wait to see. That's obviously a significant attack. The Russian Foreign Ministry is being extremely strong on this in terms of trying to use it really as a justification after the fact, given the fact, of course, that Russia initially invaded Ukraine. So it's sort of casting this as an attack by neo-Nazis, which in the Ukrainian government, which of course is something that no one outside of Russia really believes. So it's but it's a very serious attack, and we'll have to see the number of people and whether we can also verify, the numbers of dead and injured.
But Kyiv has confirmed this other attack that I mentioned on the explosion at a major gas terminal. What have they said about that? Yeah,
well, this happened overnight. There was a video of a huge explosion, a huge fireball, orange fireball over this gas plant. It's run by one of the large gas producers in Russia, Novatek. It's used to produce liquid petroleum gas, and they export it internationally. But Ukraine also says some of that fuel is used to supply the Russian military effort in Ukraine. So it is of strategic importance. Russia, the authorities there haven't confirmed it was a drone attack, but that's certainly all the evidence seems to point that direction thus far. There is an economic interest here as well, because for a long time Ukraine couldn't hit this far north. It was only a few days ago that Russia for the first time confirmed that there had been a drone attack on Leningrad, this region around St. Petersburg. So it would be a coup for Ukraine to carry this out. And Ust-Luga it's a port that many people won't have heard the name of, but it's an extremely important port on the Baltic. It's actually the biggest in terms of cargo tonnage in the whole Baltic region. And it is also the place where the Nord Stream 2, one of the big gas pipelines that was sabotaged in 2022, where that Nord Stream 2 starts. So it's a really important site strategically.
Yeah, OK, it's interesting, isn't it? Thank you very much, Danny Eberhardt there.